Good morning. Happy Tuesday. All right, so we talked about priming, so let's talk about meditation. Now, I am nowhere near even scratching the surface of knowledge on this topic, but I have been around a gentleman who knows a ton about it, a guy by the name of Master Co, who comes and talks at Tony Robbins events, and I've had the pleasure of meeting this great guy, great man who taught us about meditation. So I can tell you what I know from listening to him. So first of all, we get meditation. I think we have this feeling that it's somehow complicated, like it's very difficult. You know, people I don't know how to meditate. I can't meditate. You know, the space between the breaths. You know, what does that mean? Well, meditation is focusing on nothing. And that kind of freaks everybody out when they first think about it. Well, how do I focus on nothing? Well, what you're focusing on is no thing, nothing physical. So you're not focusing on your to-do list. You're focusing on spirituality. You're focusing on helping others. You're focusing on helping the world. You're focusing on your version of God or the universe or energy or whatever that is. So it's just a channeling of focus to the bigger picture. It's the channeling of focus to, something greater than you. And there's all kinds of apps. You know, Master Co has given us a series of meditations where you just listen to him, and it puts you in that space. I will tell you that if you get an app or you get somebody that can help you with meditation, it's much easier than it sounds. And, you know, just like anything else, just like riding a bike, you don't do it perfectly when you first start. You know, as you get going, then you get better and better and better, and then that's the idea. The whole point is that you do it. The whole point is that, you sit still, okay? So no thing doesn't mean that you're not focusing on anything. It means that you're not focusing on the physical. You're focusing on the spiritual, the greater good, the best for the universe, whatever that resonates for you. Secondly, what happens when you meditate? What are the advantages of this? Okay, well, we know that the body is like a glove with a hand in it. And the hand is, the soul, spiritual energy, dharma, whatever. But that there's this spiritual essence that is what animates the body and brings it to life. And we also know that the spiritual essence existed before the body does and continues to exist. We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. So, what is the point of meditation? Well, the closest thing that we can equate to the soul or spiritual energy is light. And so when you sit and you focus on the universe, spirituality, the greater good, all of those things, you're increasing this spiritual energy, which means you're increasing light, which means you're becoming enlightened. That's where that term comes from. If you look at any religion, their spiritual leaders, their religious leaders, have some sort of light around their head, whether it's a halo, but more often than not, it's light around them. Or, in certain religions, Hindus and the light is all around them. For those that are their spiritual heads, their religious heads, that's becoming enlightened. If you spend your time, if your job, so to speak, is to focus on spirituality and to put yourself in that space, well, you're going to continue to fill yourself up with this light, and therefore you're going to be more enlightened. So there's where that term comes from. So why do we do it? Because it fills up that energy for us, and you can literally plug in to the universe and download the energy. This is what tantric stuff is all about, but this is what spiritual healing is about, is plugging into that energy and channeling it through you into somebody else. And that is Reiki. That is, every religion has a different version of this, but essentially it's just spiritual healing where you channel into the energy and then give it to somebody else. And you're a conduit. You're like the extension cord. So you plug in one place and then give it somewhere else. If you plug in and don't give it, you fill up with it. But by the way, that's not the idea. So people who only plug in and never give it to anybody else and just fill up with the light, they don't become more enlightened. Ultimately, they become less enlightened because the idea is to give it to somewhere else. To become more enlightened is when you plug in and deliver it. So those who only go for themselves into these spiritual journeys and don't do it for others never really gain the enlightenment that those who go in who are really there to do it for others. That is also one of the other distinctions that Master Ko makes, is you're supposed to channel this energy. So the advantages of meditation, why it's such a big deal, is because it allows you to plug into the universe, channel this energy to help others, but also the fact that when you sit in your quiet, that's when the answers come. People who are significantly successful set aside time for thinking time. They set aside time where all they do is think about what they're doing and the bigger picture and the stuff that they're dealing with. Bill Gates used to go away for 2 weeks, even when he was CEO of Microsoft, and he would go to a cabin and read books and just read and meditate and think and come up with ideas. There's a lot of CEOs that will do it late at night. They'll get up at like 1 a.m. and they'll have thinking time. Keith Cunningham, who's a guy that I've paid a lot of attention to now, and I'm going to pay a lot more of attention to over the next year with regards to business. He has thinking time, and he sets up a whole series of questions. Because remember, questions are how we think. We think by asking ourselves questions. He set up a whole series of questions that he does during thinking time that he asks himself to ponder, what is it that I'm missing? What is it that I'm not thinking about? What can go wrong that I haven't thought of? What are the opportunities out there that I haven't thought of yet? So meditation does two big things. Number one, it taps you into the universe so that you can fill yourself up with spiritual essence that you can then take care of other people. And one of the things we do in priming in the morning, one of the ways when we did the breathing priming is then, fill yourself up with light and then see yourself spreading the light to everybody else. That's the Two Hearts meditation. Look it up. I'm sure that there's lots of it on YouTube. The Twin Hearts or the Two Hearts meditation. It's a lovely meditation. It's very easy to do. And then the second thing that it does is it gives you the space to be quiet, because when you're quiet, the answers come. For me, I do it at the end of the night. I have a jacuzzi. I love finishing my day with going into it. And when I go into that and sit and it's just quiet for 20 minutes, it's amazing how the things pop into my head that I needed to think about. Just for that 20 minutes where I'm like, oh yeah, I should do this and I should do this and I should do this. I always, and then, I can finish that up by doing it that way. When you're quiet and you're still, the answers come. I always end up with that 20 minutes. I go sit outside and I do just kind of a quick, breathing, sit down kind of thing. And then always take a couple of notes and then sleep like a baby. Some of it is because I've been in a jacuzzi and some of it is because I've kind of got, okay, this is what I got my plan. This is what I'm going to do. So the body can now relax and I can sleep into the next day and be ready to roll. So I hope that makes some clarification and some sense for you guys. This is an area that I know very little about. I'm not great at it. I do it some, but not nearly as much as I should. But as I get older, I'm certainly seeing the value of it. But the Twin Hearts meditation is a lovely one. I would find that online and go check that out. But this is certainly something that we all should do a lot more and make time for. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for watching. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.